Welcome to the Stahls Heat Press for Profit podcast, a show designed for people who are trying to make it in their heat print hustle. I'm your host, Josh Ellsworth, and today we're excited to welcome Eddie Thompson from Thompson's T-Shirts. Thompson's T-Shirts is a small business in Perrysville, Indiana that's making big moves. Eddie is recently taking the business on full-time and has moved his inventory and decoration into a new space. We're excited to learn all about Eddie's business on today's show as we share ideas to try to make him more successful. Eddie, welcome to the podcast. Can you spend a minute or two telling our listeners a little bit about Thompson's T-Shirts and your journey into this world of decorated apparel?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm a small business, obviously, one-man shop. Did it part-time for 5 years and left a 14-year career to do this full-time, be able to spend more time with my family and enjoy the benefits of a mom and pop business to a point. So we've used Goof Proof basically the whole 5 years. We're now expanding into looking at different things. We're trying to get into ball leagues and different aspects of the corporate world, trying to get those big orders for them.
Excellent. So big jump, left a 14-year career. I may have missed it. How long ago was it when you made the jump into full-time?
2 months.
2 months. All right. So fairly fresh. Good timing. So for those of you listening, before we dive deeper into the conversation, I'd like to give you an overview of the show. Format is simple. We host casual conversations with apparel printers like Eddie in hopes that we might make a difference in their business and yours. And that's it. So Eddie, I was kind of doing some research before the show and went onto your Facebook page and was looking through your space and some of the apparel designs and those sorts of things that you're offering. And it really looks like you're very active on social media looking to grow the business. You made the move into the new location. Was that within the last 2 months as well?
We bought the property across from our home a little over a year ago, and we slowly remodeled the garage that was there. And we recently, as of this week, we tore out another piece of the property looking to add a 30 by 40 shop come July.
Wow. What's going in that space?
Well, we're hoping to, we have a couple crafters here in town and hoping to open a shop where they can bring their items in and we can offer more things to the public where they can walk in and shop. They can see our decorations, the options that they have, and gives us more workspace too. So easier to display what we offer, what we have on hand, and I think that's a huge opportunity for our customers to be able to see what all options we do have.
Yeah, I noticed you seem to have a lot of display items, inventory on hand, where it was more of a experience for people to come in and pick their shirt style and their design. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that is correct. We had a lady come in the other day for 21 Girl Scout shirts that going on a cruise, and that 21 shirts ended up going to 18 tote bags, 12 visors, and some koozies as well. So having other options out there has definitely helped us raise our ticket average on each order. So
I love it. I love being able to bundle and package things together and focus on those key metrics like your ticket or order size. It's a good point. So I guess for our listeners that aren't too familiar with your business yet, can you kind of walk us through your decoration setup, what technology you're currently using to print shirts in the business?
We have heat presses right now. We have a 16 by 20 from Wildside, but I also just purchased a Hottronics 15 by 15, and that's been amazing. Stepping up to that. The next thing we're getting, and whenever the hat press comes in, we got your new hat press on order right now. So we're gonna definitely get into that business because where I'm located in a small town, there's not many options. So that's pretty limited to what we've got. It's just heat pressing. We don't do anything else.
Yeah, but you're able to do all the decoration jobs that come into your door. Do you ever get a request for embroidery or anything like that?
I don't. So I guess, that's something that maybe down in the future, but I want to focus on what I do right now, and I want to get really, really good at one thing instead of getting too thin and not being able to do quality work.
Yeah, very smart. And of course, being a heat press guy, I'm excited to hear that you're focused on the heat press, you're upgrading equipment, and you're expanding into headwear in that category as well. So that should allow you to even increase that ticket price a little more.
I am hoping so.
Good. So I know when I read through the show notes that you filled out, you mentioned one of your successes last year is that you're able to land some ball legs pretty quickly. So can you walk through your success there and kind of what you're able to accomplish?
We being active on social media and you do it the right way, you get a lot of people out there that start following you, that start seeing what you're doing. But you got to be, whenever you make something, you got to put it out there. You got to let them know, and you start getting inquiries. And I had a gentleman inquire about a league, and I told him I'd be glad to do it. And he actually did a haunted trail last year, and I volunteered to make some shirts to sell there. No investment on their part. I would take all the responsibility. Of course, I put my name on the shirts too. But they kind of saw what we did, the quality of work we did, plus the public, where the ball league is. We were able to land that soccer league, which is about 180 to 190 children. And the same group actually runs the softball league, which has over 300 children. And they've never had anybody come to their tournaments to provide athletic wear on site. So we can sell tournament shirts, and just being active on social media has really helped me expand into that market. And we got some feelers out there for some other ones, and we're hoping to continue that trend once they see what we do.
Wow, that's great. So when you said you got the whole league, does that mean you did all of the uniforms as well as the fan gear and whatnot?
We will. Registration starts in February. I went to their last meeting, and I actually took apparel with me, and they could pass around. They could see the quality of the shirt. They could see the quality of the design, that it's not coming off. And that's what kind of got people looking around here, is the individuals that were doing it had some letters peel off, some names peel off right at the first game. So I wanted to make sure I took the quality work with me to those meetings to share with them.
Perfect. Yeah, when you can solve a problem, it always helps get to trust, credibility, and ultimately a sales close like you experienced. That's great news. Something else I wanted to focus on there that you had mentioned is you said you did an on-site experience. So it seems like you're really leveraging the fact that you are in the community, in the town, to your advantage. And so when you went to that event, did you already have the league lined up, or was it kind of a step, just a marketing expense where you wanted to go and get your name out there in hopes that you'd be able to grow there in the community?
Well, we have a small community, so I would say 75% of people that showed up at the event or at the dinner was actually, I knew them, and they knew I did it. They just didn't realize I did everything that I do. So, yeah, it definitely helped knowing some people and just networking. We do a lot of festivals where you have a flea market, and we set up there because my entire business is mobile. We go to sites. I have 250 plus designs we print on site, and that has helped us a lot.
Wow, yeah, I saw a photo on the Facebook page where it looked like you had a large pop-up tent with, I don't know, what looked like hundreds of shirts on display on both sides and stacks of shirts. So are these like 2-day festivals, 3-day festivals? Like what's the setup typically take for that?
We can actually set up in 2 hours and be ready to press.
Wow.
My uncle actually helps me, which is kind of neat because he's retired and just has fun doing it. But there's probably 250 plus shirts, and a lot of that stuff comes from Transfer Express, because the groove proofs, you keep them in a good temperature controlled area, they'll last for many, many years. So, and we're able to customize. So when we have a print and they want something else added to it or something else taken off of it, we're able to right there on the spot cut it off. And we keep t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve t-shirts all on hand, and they have fun because they can come, they pick out the color shirt they want, the print they want, and the customer experience is really neat instead of just going and walk around tables and picking something up off the table. So, and it keeps my overhead down. I don't have to worry about keeping 2X or 3X shirts that nobody buys in stock and wondering what I'm going to do with them. So I don't have anything until they buy it.
Yeah, I was going to say that you have less committed inventory. Design goes to color and size, and it sounds like even parts of a design, with cutting parts off and kind of mixing and matching, you're creating a real tailored customization experience at these events. So I don't doubt that there's plenty of interest. One other question I had about that. So when you're thinking about an event, do you just do general designs that would appeal to the general public, or do you create designs specific to that event if it's an Italian festival or whatever it may be?
Yeah, you can buy some pre-made ones if we do something like that. We have a cover bridge festival that's a 10-day event in the middle of October every year. So you want fall themes. You want something very country, being that it is a rural area, barns, cabins, things like that in the scenery, and you have to know your market. We do a lot of car shows, and I probably have 75, 80 different car designs. So, and I have designs they haven't seen before, which helps. So yeah, when you do a festival, you got to keep in mind who your prospective customers are, and cater to them, because what it does is each event brings a different batch of customers, and it's a long-term investment. If you do it right, they see so many different avenues that you can provide for them in their business. If they're a business owner, it's huge. It's been great for us.
That's great to hear. So for those that are listening that may be interested in doing events and planning for events, I guess, what are some of the top tips? You've named some of them already, which is basically start with blank inventory, take transfers and print on site, come up with some designs that are relevant to the event that are going to appeal to the audience. Any other tips, like from pricing or experience, that you would recommend?
I kind of underprice my shirts at festivals, and you're going to have some people cringe. Like, I sell t-shirts for $10, 3 for $25. And what that does, that gets them in a tent, and that gets them buying, and they can add on. And basically, I'm touching hundreds, if not thousands of people, and I'm getting paid to touch them. That's a advertising ploy that doesn't work very well in other areas. So don't be scared to just, you got to move your product. You have to get your product in hands of customers so they see the quality. Make sure you use quality shirts. Do not use cheap shirts. I think that's why people come back every year. We've been doing festivals for 5 years, and I have people come back to the same festival every year looking for us for new designs. And you'll have a customer spend $25, $50 at a festival because you got new designs they like. So the t-shirts, if you look at some of those pictures on there, we actually keep our t-shirts in clear totes so they can actually see all the shirt colors in there, and it's eye-catching when you walk in. The hoodies are in black totes, obviously, for the heavy duty part of it, but the having the eye-catching of all the bright colors of the t-shirts really helps us too.
Do you find that most customers end up moving towards the 3 shirts for the $25 deal?
Almost every time.
Almost every time. There you go.
And I do, at a lot of festivals, we actually put our logo on the back of the neck. You have some customers that don't want it, but most generally, the customers that have come to us over the years, they don't mind it. They love having my logo on the back of the neck. It's not a big gaudy thing, but it's a little thing, and it has helped a lot.
Great. So great tips and advice. So for those listening that are interested in printing on-site and events, Eddie's done it successfully for 5 years now, has translated it as a cost of acquiring a customer, really a marketing expense. It makes a little bit of money at the event, but gets all of these contacts, gets his product in hands and people familiar with his work, which translates into repeat orders and people coming back year after year. So I'm sure there's a percentage of our listening audience out there that doesn't know what Goof Proof is. I guess in your words, can you explain kind of what a screen printed transfer is and how it works?
Yeah, it's just like screen printing. I tell all my customers, it's like they pour the ink onto the paper, they dry it, and when I press it, it goes into the cloth. You cannot remove this stuff. The best case scenario that I can tell you from my experience is, I had a customer give me artwork, and they had an apostrophe in the S, and his last name was Stevens, and I printed all of it, and he told me that's the wrong stuff. There's no apostrophe. I took it somewhere to a shop that had been around for 30 years, and they're like, we can't remove this. This stuff is permanent. It's fantastic. It's lightweight. A one color design is it's great for businesses because it's thin. It's not a heavy vinyl like some people do, and the durability is incredible. I love it. We've got shirts for 5 years that we've had that looks just like when I made them.
Great. So screen printed transfers, viable method. I have some customers that brand them as indirect screen printing or indirect printing because really that's what's happening. It's a screen printed plastisol ink, finish it with a heat press, and it's highly durable, as Eddie mentioned. So one of the things I always like to dig through is challenges facing your business, because the goal of having you on the show is, of course, you can share your advice with others, but also that we can kind of work through what you're struggling with. And I know you had mentioned a growing number of people buying vinyl cutters when you live in a more rural area is one of the challenges. So I guess, how hard is that hitting you? How is that causing challenges for the business?
I think that the biggest part of it is, and I'm sure it's not just my area, it's nationwide, because vinyl cutters are on Amazon and readily available, but you get families that in smaller communities, they want to buy off their family. And it's new to people, so they're going to support the family, and you just got to weather the storm. Once you're in business for a set amount of years, that people know your quality, and you got to be patient, knowing it's a fad. Things come, things go. Some will stay, some won't stay, and I guess it's kind of weird that somebody calls for advice. You just give it, you support them, because number one, they're a small business too, and you never know what kind of relationship you can build out of that business. So I have a lot of people that call that want one-off shirts, and I actually have someone that I send one-off shirts to, because I don't do the vinyl cutter. I got a Cricut, but I don't use it for that. So I guess that business relationship works both ways, because they get somebody that wants 100 shirts, they're not going to weed 100 pieces like that, so they send them to me, which is kind of nice. So it works both ways.
Good. So taking a potential risk in a competitor and really leveraging it to your advantage, and creating more of a partner relationship with referrals. That's a great idea, especially if you can trust the work. The other note that I had written in advance is, I don't know, do you remember the Coke versus Pepsi challenge?
Yeah.
Right. And so that was the comparison of the cola, but you had a whole lot of marketing in there, which was blind taste tests and those sorts of things. So you mentioned earlier the durability of a screen printed transfer. Now, heat transfer vinyls can certainly be durable, but typically,
sure,
when you look at the hobby based market with the cutters and the vinyls on the shelf at retail, often not applied with a professional grade heat press, often not a professional grade vinyl, or user that's extremely well trained. Sometimes the techniques aren't quite right. So I think being able to hold up examples and say, here's the work we do, here's the durability after 50 washes, here's what to expect out of hobby market type equipment and product, that might be an effective way to move some folks over to the side of a screen printed transfer, or even for those that do vinyl cutting, a more professional grade heat transfer film.
Right.
Good. So I know that one of the things that you said was challenging also was going from the part-time business to full-time. What aspects of that are most challenging for you at the moment? Is it just getting the sales volumes, or is it something else?
A couple of things. Right now, I come from a career that was very structured. So trying to figure out our schedule on a mom and pop business, because there's only so many hours that our customers are available. So you got to make sure those hours we can touch them. We're available to them, but yet you still got to print, and then you still got to design. And there's a fine line of what I guess you would call like a method of operation, where when do you print so it doesn't take away from your design time with the customer, and potential go out and knock on doors and meet new customers. And there's definitely a fine line that is a challenge for me starting out full time. We've been very blessed with great business as far as people coming to us, but there is definitely a learning curve there for someone that's been part time for 5 years. That just started this, so Yeah, there's definitely some learnings there that I'm more than willing to learn from someone to figure out the timing aspect of everything.
Yeah. So do you have set store hours when customers can visit the shop, or is it just we're here every day sort of thing?
We're here every day. Obviously, it's right across the street, so yeah, people will message me going, "Hey, we're on our way," and you go flip the lights on, and being in a small town, my shop's open most of the time anyway. So if I'm not around, they just message me, and if I'm out with a customer, they just go in and shop around. I wouldn't recommend that in certain areas, but obviously, but in our little town, we are very blessed with a great community. I love living here. So
Good. So I think that would be a definite benefit, is to look at scheduled sales hours. But again, I don't want to recommend that, because it seems to be to your advantage that you have that feel where it's kind of like home and it's family and people can come in, shop when they want, and you're available. I think once the business gets to a certain size, it could probably become a challenge, right, with all hours of the day and night.
correct.
But right now it seems to be another great way of differentiating from other online businesses where people can come in and they can shake your hand and see the product and experience it. I think that's a great advantage.
Yeah, I come from a career where we went to people's houses, and as much as everyone says that you get the big companies online that are trying to take over, I think us as humans, we still thrive on that person to person, shake a hand, look somebody in the eye, have a meaningful conversation, because everyone's so in tune with their phone or a computer. I just personally feel that having a one-on-one relationship is definitely golden to a customer experience. So
Yeah, there's something about shopping local and to your point, being able to shake a hand. So I went through some sales training many years ago, and it said, all things being equal, people buy from people they know and people they like. All things being unequal, people buy from people they know and people they like. So relationships are key for any local printer, local company. If you're not leveraging the fact that you're in the community, this is a very compelling reason to do that.
yeah, absolutely.
So one of the topics that you wanted to discuss in depth was how to handle big companies approaching. How long does it typically take to get an order, were some of the thoughts that you had jotted down. So I guess, can you walk me through a scenario of really where you're struggling, or what type of larger companies that you would like to potentially go out and try to win the business from?
Yeah, where we live, there's a lot of distribution centers. So some of those have hundreds of employees, and a few of them have several thousand employees. And they have company apparel. So approaching them is, how do you get in front of the right person? And, I've started looking at Indeed, because I know a lot of professionals are in Indeed, and you can build relationships that way. I just haven't mastered that part of it yet, but I'm starting to explore it. But I think getting to the right decision maker in a big company, past a gatekeeper, is definitely a challenge without having a relationship with those people. And that's something I want to overcome, because obviously who wouldn't want to have those companies that's got several thousand employees and you're their sole provider? I think all of us listening to this would definitely want to have that. So that's definitely the piece, one of the pieces that I want to overcome in 2020 to get into those facilities.
Have you tried yet at all?
I've made some phone calls, did some stuff on social media, but face to face, several of them have guard shacks, obviously. So you leave it with the guard, but
yeah, they're really good gatekeepers at those places. I would say that
they're fantastic, and they're doing their job, and I get it. I respect them, but and I think it's funny because they kind of chuckle when you tell them, going, "Hey, can you make sure this gets in the right person's hands?" So just have fun with it. You never know. You may be that person that makes their day with a smile and a thank you, that they do go the extra mile for you. So
yeah, I think you brought up some important points. One is, earlier on you mentioned about the importance of networking and being able to gain business through establishing connections. So naturally, there's the part that maybe at some point you would hit in the inner circle, or a degree away from an important connection at a big company. That's kind of the long road to get there. One of the other really helpful tools that I've experienced in corporate America is LinkedIn specifically. And so setting up a profile on LinkedIn, and there's tons of guides that will walk you through online how to set up a professional profile. And of course, they want to charge you for services to be able to send messages to decision makers, but really it's cutting through the clutter. So I always like to say, direct mail used to be really popular 10 years ago or so, and then we moved to the phone, and then we moved to email, and then we moved to Facebook messaging, et cetera, and it just keeps going on. But I think there's a certain cycle to these things. It's really whatever contact method that people are doing least can be the most effective way to get noticed. So in person at those places where there's guard checks and gatekeepers is tough. Even on the phone is tough because you get a receptionist that doesn't want to pass you through. There's certainly techniques to get through gatekeepers and attempt, but your hit rate isn't very good on that. Sometimes you may get through 1 out of 10 times.
Right.
So I really think the idea of physical samples is really good. And then if somehow you can get into a messaging format where you can cut through the clutter. So for small business, Facebook Messenger tends to work because everybody communicates through there, and you can link straight to your page. But I think it's setting up the business profile and your personal profile on LinkedIn, and then being able to do things like send a in-mail through LinkedIn or a message through LinkedIn, because at that point, you can really look up a company and you can see all of the different people that work there that are on that, and as well as their titles. And so you're going to have to make some assumptions and guess about who the decision maker is on that category, but perhaps you can even get a contact where you say, hey, I'm not sure who I should talk to about this, but can you help me? And I find that's one of the most powerful ways to open a call when I'm calling into a big business is talk like a human, not like a telemarketer, of course. And I'm sure you don't have a problem doing that since you're driving up in person. But being able to make that phone call and say, hey, I'm not sure who to talk to. Can you help me? Immediately starts to get some empathy and try to put them on your side with helping you to get through without being so slimy, right? Because they probably screen hundreds of calls a week.
And you guys,
which is the tough part.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be professional too, because if they remember your name, you got to keep that image. So,
yeah, one of the most interesting books that I read, there's a couple sales books that I like. One is Mastering the Complex Sale, which is really once you're in the conversation with a large business and sort of the different decision-making criteria. But one of the ones that I really love, it's called The Challenger Sale. One of my favorite sales books of all time, in a sales methodology that really I aim to follow and emulate. And within that, there was a stat in there that basically said that the most important criteria to a CEO or a decision maker on certain things, whoever's going to make that decision, is consensus. So sometimes, even if you're not to the ultimate decision maker, finding out who the champion and who the influencers are in that company that can help to really act on your behalf and get your products and say, hey, I've vouched for Eddie. I've seen the quality of his work, and here's what he can do for us. And defining that program on what you can do for them more than just print T-shirts is also another important element.
Right, absolutely.
One thing I noticed you were part of, I believe it was ASI or PPAI. Are you pretty active there?
Not a lot. We're just getting into that. I do have a lot of businesses we do work for, but they're small mom and pop businesses. So we wanted to get into offering like simple things like a pen or a calendar, something along those lines, to where it just adds on to our ticket average, obviously, and it creates something that is ongoing. They're always looking for pens, so now they're always going to come to me for that same thing. So just finding those products that go hand in hand, so we can be a one-stop shop for people, and they don't have to go to 3 different places, 2 online, 3 in person. They can just come over to our shop and get everything they need and be done.
I love it. I think it's a great strategy, and I know we've talked about ASI before on the podcast with some other guests, but for those that aren't familiar, that's the Advertising Specialty Institute. They have their own trade shows. They have membership, which costs X amount per year. I'm not sure of the pricing off the top of my head, but basically by buying in, you get access to vendors that otherwise you may not have access to, or pricing that you may not have access to. And it's in the case of pens, I'm sure whoever's providing your pens is also logoing the pens as well. Correct, Eddie?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay, so it's a great way to be able to expand what you offer without having to invest in more equipment or know-how, especially when you're limited on time because you're a small business.
Correct. Yeah. Someone would just be the middle to end guy.
Yeah, it's nice. And in the case of that, where you're just packaging stuff and it's not often the primary item, it just helps to be that one-stop shop and get people through the door, as you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
Good. So this is the part of the show where I typically like to open it up a little bit. One thing I want to make sure we get to, because it sounds like you have a lot of good metrics in the business. You talked several times now about order size or ticket size and bundling. How else are you gauging success in the business, like from a metric standpoint?
Two things. Repeat business, do they come back to me? And do they give my name to someone else? Because both those is huge, because that means I'm doing great work at a fair price. And I think for long-term success, that's what's going to keep me in business 5 years from now, is word of mouth. And them continuing coming back to me as being, that's my guy. And funny story, little town, guy comes over, he's been a mechanic in our area for 50 years, so he won 50-year anniversary shirts. One color design, great. Made him some shirts, and people listening on this podcast obviously know, okay, you probably grew up knowing this guy, which I did. So he gets 12 shirts, never had shirts for his business in 50 years. He takes them home, shows his wife. He comes back in 45 minutes, goes, I want 12 more. And the funny part was I typically always order 25 goof proofs, because when you do the design, if you do it right, you can manipulate them and use them for other things. And obviously I had my 25, so I got one left over. So, and I told him, I said, man, if you want to come back and get a hoodie or a jacket, I said, I got one left, I can do it for you. But it's those little things of creating that excitement. And now every time Mike deals with a business and they see the shirt, he's gonna be able to tell them where to got him, and he's passed them out to his kids, his family, and he's gonna talk us up. So yeah, repeat business is huge. You got to secure your business in the future with great work today.
I love it. So something just clicked with me is you mentioned that's the first time that gentleman had bought logoed apparel. Do you feel like that's a common scenario for small businesses in a small town like yours?
Absolutely. I just had a lady message me right for the podcast, and I'm like, Patty, I got to get back to you a little bit. But they have a ranch, and I say a ranch, they got like 2 horses on it, but they actually have a name for it, and they go to conferences over it. And she messaged me. I reached out to her. I went, hey, have you ever had apparel for your ranch? She goes, I've never thought of it. And that was a week ago. So now she messaged me and said, hey, how much would this cost if we did this or did that? And so it's very common, and I'm shocked. So now, granted, when you get 6 shirts, 12 shirts, you're not making a lot of money. It's not about always having that 150, 200 piece order. Sometimes that 6-piece order that you do a good job for will lead to that 200-300 piece, because they tell the right person. So the company I come from with the last 14 years, we always said when grandma buys that one item that seems to be not profitable for you, that grandma has kids, that grandma has everything else that could really impact or hurt your business if she gives you a bad review, or she keeps bragging about how good you do, more of her family comes. So every customer is huge, because you don't know what it could lead to.
Yeah, your quality of work is a billboard for the business. It's either going to be a really good one where there's word of mouth and people like the products you're doing, or it can go the other way, right? But either way, the customer's going to have a megaphone, right?
Absolutely.
So that's good. And I love the referral. Basically, instead of just trying to generate a customer. You're trying to generate a fan, a customer so excited that they want to tell others about the business. So I love that metric as well. One of the things I wanted to ask about that on your marketing, I know you do some stuff on Facebook. Sounds like you go out and pay to be at events, but really you make money at the events as a marketing expense. You're getting word of mouth referrals. Are you doing any other types of marketing to promote the business?
For the first time, a couple weeks ago, we actually did a giveaway. I set up a thing on our Facebook page that if you like our page, you like the post, and you share our page or share the post, I'm giving away a free hoodie. And you know how Facebook can give you all the dynamics of what it did, and it touched almost 7,000 people. So in the past, I had paid for advertising on Facebook. I got the same amount of touches paying for it as I did giving away a free hoodie. I would much rather give away a free hoodie than give my money to Facebook. So it touched 6,800, almost 6,900, 7,000 people. So, and then we did a Facebook Live event where my daughter drew a name out. So, you know, it's fun. It's free, obviously. And, you know, in the new shop, we don't have internet yet. So there's a touchy thing where we're working on trying to find a way to get it over there inexpensively. So getting that online Facebook Live things, maybe when you're at a customer, I do Facebook Lives when I'm at events as well, because it helps promote their event, and that's goodwill for that community and everyone involved. And the Facebook Live I love. I'm not very good at it. I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it because I'll get better at it the more I do it. And I'm okay showing some vulnerability there. So I'm a real person. I'm not a robot. So.
That's important too, because people's perception of what they look like or how they're perceived by their customers really holds a lot of people back from taking that first step and doing a lot of great things. So I think that's the point, right? I look back at my first video that I ever did, and I cringe a little bit, but at the end of the day, never regret it, because you have to put yourself out there. You have to do it and try. That's the only way you're going to get better, and you're never going to be perfect at it, and that's okay too. That's the human element, right?
Yep. I actually started making memes and posting them on our Facebook page, and I noticed in the last week people starting to share those memes, which all those memes have our company name on them, and you just find some funny stuff that you create that's relevant to your business. And it's all those little things that you do that you're sitting around and got a few minutes, you do something simple, and who knows what it could lead to. You got to keep your name in front of people. If you don't keep it in front of people, they're going to forget about you because there's so many options out there.
Great. So this is the time of the show as we're nearing the conclusion. I want to make sure I open it up. I know we've talked about a lot of your questions and feedback that I got prior to the show, but is there anything specifically at this point that you want to ask me for advice on?
I just signed up for the Spirit Store. I am really excited about that. We started going through the videos, the training videos, so I definitely will be reaching out to some people with the Spirit Store.
Yeah.
Because I think as I try to approach these larger companies, it's going to be very simple for that company to go, look what he's already doing. He's got a store for us. He could create a store for us. And so the Spirit Store, I know it's somewhat new. So just getting the successes, getting tips and tricks from people that's using it now, it is definitely something that'd be worthwhile. Maybe a separate social media group just for those people, so we can ask questions that are relevant to what we're doing. So
perfect. And I'm just curious, why did you decide to invest in it? Was it try to chase down some of these larger companies, or do you see other applications for it in the business?
We have, like I said, 250, really almost 300 designs in house. So being able to offer those nationwide, we do ship nationwide now. People can shop online with me like they do other people. Yeah, you hear my dog barking, so there's a mom and pop business right there.
That's fine.
But getting into a school where they can order different shirts for the school instead of having to go to the school, and those are just avenues that I want to offer my customers to make it simple. So, and with Facebook, obviously, that's a worldwide thing. So, I know when I first started out, I was making shirts for a truck group that I'm part of, and I had a young man. He bought 3 shirts from me, and it was $68, and it was $68 shipping to Australia. So, Facebook can't go worldwide. So I want to be prepared to offer my customers what they need, so we can be successful in the long run. So,
yeah, I think one of the benefits from our conversation and getting to know a little bit about your business, I think you would really do well with the Spirit Sale platform for causes. It seems like you mentioned you knew 75% of the people at an event you attended, and you have like really good connections with people in the community. And so we see causes as a big thing. So people want to raise money for Diabetes Awareness Month, or somebody just got diagnosed with cancer, or something like that, where people want to raise money. It can be a school or a team or a business, of course, but I think just individuals and causes that they're passionate about, it sounds like you're well positioned to be able to be a source for that sort of thing.
Yeah, we do a lot of benefits, and that's passionate with me. We have 2 special needs children, so we understand what people go through, and I try to treat them the way we've felt in the past. So we currently have a benefit going on now for a lady that's got stage 4 colon cancer. So worked with the lady, actually my accountant, and came up with a design, and we're up to about 130 shirts right now that they've ordered, and every day they have more coming in. So if I had a way where people outside the community could actually just pay for it and I could ship it, it would be a dream, because anybody that's done causes or benefits for people, they realize, oh, I sent you a message on Messenger, I sent you a text message, oh, I left you a message on your phone. It is chaotic.
Tough to manage.
And inevitably, you've missed somebody, and you don't want to miss nobody. You want to make sure everybody gets taken care of. So that I think that is going to be a fantastic tool to help smooth some of those processes, so the family can focus on what the family's got to focus on. So
that's great, and it takes it national too. I was just looking at some of our Spirit Sale stores that folks have launched this month and kind of see how they were doing. And we had one customer that launched something, I think it was on the 13th or 15th of this month, so it's only been up for about 10 or 12 days. And it was for a cause, and the community just rallied around, and even beyond the community. And she collected like $20,000 in T-shirt orders over the course of 10 days. And there was a large percentage of that going back to the cause, which, I mean, that was just awesome to see a small decorator in a local community able to do that.
Yep, absolutely. So
good. So anything else you'd like to talk about before I wrap this up?
No, pretty good. I just I feel very blessed to be able to be on this and share my experience and gain some knowledge. So
good. Well, hopefully I've been able to help. I've certainly learned a lot from you. And for those listening, we want to thank Eddie for joining us and wish him success as he looks to take his business to new heights. We also hope that you found something on today's show that inspired you or gave you that one little tip that's going to make a difference in your business. Sometimes it's just that one little thing where you've never thought about it that way that can be the difference in getting your business to the next level. If you'd like to ask follow-up questions, just look for our show conversation thread over at Heat Press for Profit Facebook group, where you can network and share ideas with thousands of businesses aiming to make a profit with heat printing just like you.